What up, everybody? Welcome to the Grid and Grind Show. Happy Monday. Yeah, it's a Monday. It's the start of a beautiful week. We got 2 weeks away, 12 days, something like that, until the next Grid League matches. And we got a good episode today. We got Dakota Shackleton from the Las Vegas Venom. He's stopping by to talk to us a little bit about his story. Obviously, he's a busy dude, owner of Camp Rhino. He's Underdog Athletics coach. He's player for the Venom. I mean, I'm sure he does a ton of other things. So I appreciate him taking the time. But before Dakota gets to us, we got to plug the sponsors. The Mental Game Performance Coaching. If you are in need of a mental performance coach, if you're letting pressure, anxiety, even failure among sports gets the best of you and not allowing you to reach your potential and be the athlete that you want to be, head over to tmgperformancecoaching.com. Sign up for a free game planning session. I'm telling you, they can walk you through your issues and help you get on the way to being the best athlete and unlocking the best version of you on and off the field. Chinook Seeds, the best sunflower seeds in the game, 8 flavors, mild to wild. Go to your local gas station, convenience store, grocery store, pick up the best sunflower seeds in the game, Chinook Seeds. Hey, and if you want some seeds, you want something to wash it down with, Old Dominick Distillery. It is the summertime. They've got that Honeywell gin. They got the Honeywell vodka. They got the best for the most refreshing 4th of July parties. Go to olddominickdistillery.com or stop by the distillery if you're in the area. Pick up your favorite bottle. They got the best bourbon, the best vodka, the best gin, the best spirits around. Be the life of the party. Bring in the Old Dominick with you. And with that, we gotta get to it. We gotta get to the man of the hour himself, Dakota Shackleton. Dakota, what's up, brother?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Ashley or Ashton wants to say hi. Not sure.
Hello, Ashton. Cool. You do have people live right away. Nice.
Got some folks popping on wanting to know what's up, but obviously we gotta talk about you, man. It's I had the privilege of meeting you when you guys were in Tampa. Awesome dude, awesome story. But I felt as though wanted to get you on, wanted to get that story out there. But obviously, owner, you're a coach, you're a player, you're a busy dude, and on top of that, you're a dog dad. I saw some photos. He's a few years old now, I would imagine.
Yeah, she's 3.5. She's over here laying on the ground somewhere.
Man, it's nice to have a gym dog, is it not?
It's awesome. I mean, I had her literally 8 weeks, one day inside the gym, dropping barbells, blasting music, and now the door's open and her tail just wags and she goes up, says what's up, and then kind of goes back and lays down on the ground somewhere.
Every time you have dogs at the gym, and that's what I love about CrossFit, boxes and those warehouse style, fitness facilities, is that you always have a dog, and it's more than a mascot. It's like a member of the gym. Like people
Have you been at a gym with too many dogs though?
Yeah, that's when the problem becomes, and then it becomes like the dog park, and you're trying to do double unders but not hit old Fido in the head.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough, and I've seen people get tripped up on runs trying to avoid leashes. It's quite a thing. But
yeah, we've had a little bit of that. We're at a good place with pretty much just her, and one of our other coaches has an Aussie that she keeps.
Coach, that's the coach's rule. Only dogs for the coaches. Everybody else keep those dogs at home.
Yeah,
love dogs, but keep a dog at home.
Yeah, you guys get to go right back home in an hour. I have to be here for 7 more hours. So
it's only fair. Jason, CF Media. What's up, Jason?
Cool. He
wants to know, can we get a dog on the grid? That is the question.
Yeah. I mean, besides the dogs that are already out there.
Yeah. Well, Dakota, let's start with you, man. Obviously, you're a very fit individual. I've seen you on the grid, but you just don't wake up one day and you become fit. So where does this fitness journey start? Were you a kid that was into sports, or do you just find CrossFit and find the gym later on?
I was a lifelong athlete, baseball, soccer, I started football in 4th grade. That was definitely a journey. That was the one I basically almost cried not wanting to go, but it was like, hold off one more year, hold off one more year. And then I think 5th or 6th grade, it's like, oh, you get to hit people. Okay, that's pretty fun. And
Yeah.
I played college football. So that was really where a lot of the development came in for like strength and power. Bounced around for a couple schools, and then I kind of found CrossFit right at the end of college.
Was that, you feel like it was a destiny almost? You find CrossFit at the end of this competitive career. It's almost like you needed something, and the world knew that you needed it, so they're like, here,
Yeah,
try
no,
this on.
for sure. I mean, I was going to go look for GA or graduate assistant spots and try and get into college coaching for football. And I had 1 semester left. And actually, this gym came to the school. They called it Fitness for Finals. So they're like, all right, it's finals week. You guys are stressed out. We'll do some kind of, yoga or dog petting, or they set up this little mini obstacle course out in the field. And I checked it out. And that's how I found this gym, Camp Rhino, over 10 years ago. And then, it was like 6 a.m. Oh, cool. You got structure. You got, you got a coach. You show up. It's early, just like in my football days. And like a few months in, I was like, all right, well, how do I become a CrossFit coach instead of a football coach? And I mean, really, the rest is history.
What were you humbled when you went in there? Because I could imagine as a college athlete, like you could walk in there and do very well, but there are certain aspects and elements in that gym where I could see like being a power athlete in football, like doesn't really translate into some of the things that you could do in a CrossFit gym.
Yeah, maybe on day 2, I was humbled. I think day 1, I showed up and it was back squats and power cleans. I said, oh, all right. I was like 230, 240 when I showed up on that day. And, I definitely had a couple people like, oh, shoot, who's this new strong kid over here? And then, day 2 was burpees. And I remember 2 or 3 weeks in, it was 16.1. And they're talking about doing burpees over the bar. I'm like, all right, well, what do? You do the burpee, then you go over the barbell. Why would you do that? Like, why? What's wrong with just the regular burpee? And so that was a journey.
It's always funny because I've talked to like some of the gymnasts that have, gymnastics backgrounds, like Chelsea Ranieri sticks out to me, and like some of the others. And it's like they go in there and they're able to do all the hard things that people that go to CrossFit gyms like practice years to try to do. And they're doing it on day 1, and they're like the most hated person in there.
Yeah, strict toes to bar is a fundamental,
Man, I would be pissed off if I was there and the new person walks in and they're just doing strict ring muscle ups, just pulling them up there, no problem.
Well, as a coach who's pretty fit but has some limitations still in some of my movements, I get a new person and I explain like a pistol squat, and I can demo a very good scaled pistol squat. Either heels elevated or to a bench. And, then some brand new person goes like this, just psh, psh, down and up. I'm like, yep, just like that.
It's funny because when you get someone who is new, you almost like, for you as a coach, what's your philosophy on like train? Like it's hard to just put someone in a CrossFit without going through fundamental things, but obviously you don't want to not challenge them on that first day because you want them to come back. You want them to feel successful, but you also want them to know like this is a journey, like it's tough. Yeah. But like, do you have like an on-ramp or like a program where you bring new people in where they have to do certain skills, or
we've gone back and forth on that over the years. Currently what we have in place are 2 different classes. We have a CrossFit class and a boot camp style class, which is not baby CrossFit. It's not dumbed down CrossFit. I say it's more like a well-rounded strength and conditioning program, and maybe a little bit more user-friendly in terms of some of the movements. But no, we do a 3-day on-ramp, and then on day 4, the coach takes the class with you and kind of does like almost a little one-on-one session in the class. So you get a little bit more of a feel for it. But no, I mean, I tell people CrossFit is like footwear. Reebok, Nike, Adidas. It's all just a tennis shoe that gets you from point A to point B. Grid, CrossFit, P90X, it's all just a different way to work out. If you've worked out once in your life before, I could probably throw you into a class, and as long as it's not one of my 15, 20 person classes, I could get you through a great workout on day one.
Definitely. I mean, there hasn't been a single CrossFit day where I go in and like, even as easy as the day looks, it's always tough.
Yeah.
And like some days are way harder than others, but there's never a day that's not a portion of it is tough. Like it makes you have to like dig deep a little bit, and I think that to me is like what I would look for in programming and in training and in a gym is, am I having to dig a little bit deeper or, push myself a little bit harder each time I go in there? Yeah. And that's the thing. And that's what I want. I want to be able to do that each day. And I'm sure for you guys, there's a balance of not pushing too hard, but obviously pushing your members to be better versions of themselves, because that's what they came in there for.
Yeah. If we're talking about a new person, it's almost an art to make it through the entire class, not to get enough of a workout. If you're doing a well-programmed hour, I mean, the first 5 minutes is a general prep warm-up. If you're not hurting in the first 5 or 10 minutes, then most likely that's just because you're one of those members that like to chat in the back and kind of go through the motions and wait for the percentages to actually kick up. A brand new person, they're like, oh shoot, what? I'm like, yeah, no, don't worry. That's just a warm-up. So I don't have a struggle finding that. Like I said, it's almost the opposite. Helping them get through the whole hour is more of an art.
Yeah. And the thing with new CrossFitters is the ceiling is you're usually hitting pretty like solid PRs for a good amount of time. And that if you stick with it, you're doing the right things. Like the motivation to get better is there because you're constantly getting better almost every time you walk in there.
Yeah, the neural adaptation happens super fast. And if you have a decent coach, I mean, you can go from just learning how to do scat pull-ups to all of a sudden doing kipping knee raises. And you're like, oh, wow, that's, a huge progression in just one day. And then you'll go from kipping knee raises, and then 6 months later, you'll get a toes to bar. So some of those things happen really fast and some take a while to develop.
You got...
Are we hitting a little internet issue for a second, or did you catch all that?
It's that Florida weather, bro. It's raining here. We're in that season where it's going to rain every day, and for whatever reason, the Spectrum's not a big fan of sprinkles.
Well, we're kind of the opposite. We're in that Vegas time where it doesn't matter if it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. It's going to be 100 degrees for the next 90 days.
All right, so I'm glad you brought that up. Is this dry heat thing like? Is it different? You've been in Florida when it's hot, like even in Tampa, it was hot. Not the hottest that it probably gets, but it was hot. So like, what is the difference like feeling from you that's been in both environments?
So it's not just the fact that it's dry. We actually have more elevation than people realize. So coming from somewhere like Orlando or Tampa, where you're basically at sea level and it's nice and moist, breathing is just easy. You definitely have that film that never seems to go away no matter how many times you shower. But when you come out here, it is dry. You have a little bit of that swallow that happens that also gets your nasal passages almost a little crusty after a day or two. So if you're coming from a moist area and then you're out here, it's like day 2 and day 3 really hit you because your passages are honestly getting like a little scabbed up, a little dried up, and then you hit 3,000 feet of elevation and a workout feels very different.
So when you get to travel outside of Vegas, like you have an edge on every competitor just because the training environment is so it's very unique.
Based on the locations that we currently go, sure.
So how do you find grid?
Yeah, I mean, I found grid a long time ago, and now come to 5,000. Yeah, see, Arnaldo, what's up, buddy? He's in Denver, so that's some serious elevation. I've gone and done a couple workouts out there. That's what I mean. If you do live in one of those areas, you are the one coming with the most advantage. But right now, yeah, Vegas is a pretty good spot to be at. Let's see. Last year, well, weather, right? You guys had some hurricane issues. A lot of people had issues traveling out to the Las Vegas Mr. Olympia. Mm-hmm. That was the doubleheader, and I just, through the CrossFit world, through the COVID circle world, met a lot of people, and I think there was probably a league-wide email or something that went out. Hey, not a lot of athletes are going to be able to travel. We're going to be short in order to basically make the matches happen. If you know anybody that can lift weights on the West Coast, hit them up. And I had a couple people hit me up. I got linked up with Matt on the Breakers, and had one phone call. Kind of told him, I'm like, yeah, I can power clean this and do leg lifts that, and I already know what double touches and triple touches were. But I pretty much went in on day one, just planning on lifting some weights. They taught me the floor is lava barbell mirror drill, and then by day two, I was doing the single, double, triple touches and legless rope climbs, and it was a good time. After that, I think that was a little bit of enough resume building to talk to a couple of different people, had some few opportunities, and landed up with Paul.
So when you're going through this in Vegas, do you immediately go, I'm going to play on a team next year, no matter what? Or do you wait for someone to just be like, hey, you are very fit, like, let me talk to you?
I mean, a little bit of both, right? I didn't walk out there and hit my first ladder and be like, yep, I can roll with these guys, no problem. I knew that there was still going to be a learning curve, but I think it was, something I had my eye on, had, looked at a couple videos, watched a couple of the YouTube lives, and been like, oh, I could probably do that. Like, how do you get in though? And then when I, showed up and they kind of handed me a jersey with someone else's name on it, I'm like, oh, I could definitely, this is my in, right? Like now I'm in the sphere, now I'm in the webbing, and I just got to make sure I do what I know I can do, and I should at least have a chance of having a conversation down the road.
Was it easier than you had anticipated, like being able to just, get into it and go, all right, now I feel comfortable? Or was there a degree of difficulty or just like the unknown?
A little bit of the unknown. I mean, they talk about grid speed a lot. I was very used to showing up, warming up, having a call time, going through multiple events in a day with all these CrossFit competitions, being on teams at places like Wadapalooza where you're trying to navigate, okay, who's going to be standing where? How do you get the fastest transitions? I mean, I'm a CrossFit coach for 10 years, so I think about those things as I'm driving all the time. Where can I take advantage of these little gaps and cut out the time and math out the seconds? So things like that came really natural. So I didn't really have an issue. Like I said, I'll use that same ringer drill. I mean, once you show me exactly how it flows, I already understand, okay, it's better to be in the front so you can slide and switch spaces. And I don't really need to be told twice. My memory's pretty good. So I already, after looking at the list of sprint relay, I already know who's next. I already can tell, all right, well, you're going to tag that person, so I'm going to stand on this side so there's more space. So those things, I feel like as a coaching mind and potentially a collegiate athlete or a perennial athlete, those things just fit into place easier. I got members and they're like, wait, what's a burpee every single day? Those are not going to be your grid. Not because they're not athletes, just because they're going to need a lot of attention.
Right. Your boy, he said, it's easy for you. You're fit as hell, which like I've seen it. You are fit as hell. So you start this season. How do you become part of the Venom? Was it, season's over and Paul reaches out to you first? Because to me, like, you're a fit dude. You can do a lot of things. And obviously now in Vegas, you're out there. Your name is now on radars.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that it was not just Paul that reached out to you. There had to have been options for you.
Yeah, I had a few options. Yeah,
So
I don't
why is it?
specifically remember the timeline as in terms of which day specifically I talked to who,
Mhm.
but I did have some different conversations. Yeah, I had a few different options. Basically, Matt on day one was like, "Bro, that was awesome. Thanks for coming out. Really helped out, and we would love to have you if you're interested in coming back next year." Had a couple of other conversations with a couple other teams. Paul actually didn't reach out to me. He just walked up to me at the gym. He stayed 2 weeks in Vegas partying with Cassie, going to music festivals. And so he was at my gym every day, and we talked a little bit. And yeah, when the conversation came up about Daytona Beach Venom turning into the Las Vegas Venom, that was something I definitely, looked at a little bit heavier in terms of weighing that choice.
Yeah.
Part of me was like, well, if there's a team in my backyard, how do I not be on it? How can I be the Las Vegas guy? Camp Ryan in Las Vegas, but on the Atlanta Wild.
Yeah.
So part of that just seemed like it was a natural fitting. Yeah, I told him, and I was pretty clear with everybody that I was having some conversations and that I was kind of weighing out the difference of pros and cons as like a business mindset and a player mindset. And even though it's all new to me, I mean, if the league is expanding the way it is, maybe a potential coach or ownership mindset. So we landed with the Las Vegas Venom.
Nice. So for you now, I guess you could say you've completed a rookie season so far. Like you've got 3-4 matches under your belt, and when you went into this season, did you expect to have like some more like learning curves just because you had a very small amount of experience, and now you're getting into with the Venom, you're a full-time player. You're like now it's just the start of a full season.
Yeah,
Or
for
did you
sure.
just have a couple of you off?
The first experience or exposure in Las Vegas was definitely just a fun random weekend that seemed to pan out pretty well. Understanding, like, yeah, I know what grid is in terms of these races and guys and girls and team versus team, but the inner workings and understanding how the signing and the sponsorship and the travel and the actual season. I mean, how are we going to practice? Are we doing it virtually? These WhatsApp groups, sending in videos and testing. People ask, how do you practice for grid? I primarily just do my regular CrossFit training, but okay, at the end of my snatch session, I need to practice these hang snatches for time, or I need to do these extra back squat drop sets to make sure that I'm good with the volume. And I just kind of throw those in here or there, or, if we are given assignments that are specific for us, from Paul, he'll shoot a text and be like, all right, try this little couplet or this triplet, do it a few times as basically like a volume piece.
Right. So now 2 weeks into the season, halfway through the regular season, what are the takeaways? Give me the good, give me the bad.
Well, the good is easy, it's fun. It's, regardless of your level of sponsorship or whatever, the pay to play aspect is there right now. And I'm happy with that. Whether I had 6 sponsors and they paid for all my travel or I had to pay for it all up front, that was something that I was interested in, like I said, to get my foot in the door. So the actual being out there on the field is, it's, if you haven't played sports like that, then you just don't understand it. And if you have played sports like that, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a game time player, not really a practice player. I'll kick my feet around and hum and haw at things for a long time when I'm here at the gym every day. But once that 3-2-1 happens and you're really out there, it's just a different feeling.
I wish I had Allen Iverson queued up talking about practice.
Yeah, practice. When this next one comes up on the screen, you'll see it. But yeah, I mean, I'm a take a workout, take a nap, take a workout, take a nap kind of guy. So I'll just pop up, not really warm up. Yeah, seriously.
Legitimately,
I got my napping chair.
Nap.
Yeah.
And just throw down.
And yeah, so I mean that's the great, The other goods are, having a really fun group of people, getting to travel with them, getting to, expand my circle for friends and for business and whatever. Meet guys like you, come on podcasts. Those are all good. Those are all positives. You don't have those things without being immersed and really like being bought in too. That would be like the bad and the ugly is the buy-in. You got to get all these people bought in. You got to get all these people committed, financially, physically with their time, not just doing the practices or the virtual stuff, but actually showing up. And really, like, as far as that goes, you can piggyback that into the next part of the conversation, I'm sure, in terms of results, which is we just haven't had the buy-in that we A, need, or B, that I kind of thought we were going to have, which is kind of disappointing.
I think when you're a collegiate athlete or even an athlete in general, like, there's a level of buy-in regardless of outcome that you intrinsically have as this competitive athlete. Like, I'm a part of a team and I'm going to go out there. I'm going to be team player, supportive. I'm going to do all the things. I'm going to have fun. And regardless of win or lose, yes, you want to win. Every single athlete out there wants to win, but it's not going to take, I'm not going to be less bought in because we're losing, if that makes sense. And I think coming from a collegiate background, like in a team sport like football, I think you have a little bit of that other people may not.
Yeah. Did you, how much did you research me? Do you know what my college position was?
I don't, but I'm
not testing you. This is an important facet of my mindset.
I'm guessing you told me how much you weighed, so I'm guessing you either were like a tight end type or like a lineman type. I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, I was like I said, everything under the sun growing up, a lot of tight end and free safety, such strong safety down outside linebacker. But no, what got me through college was long snapping. I was the long snapper.
You know
so
what?
I
if you're good at long snapping, you can do a lot of things. I'm telling you.
For sure. And you can be the best long snapper in the world 10, 15 years down your career and nobody really knows your name, which is a good thing, by the way. You don't want them to know your name. But yeah, I mean, I can go through 4 seasons of perfect snaps, but if the team only wins 2 wins, who cares? Like I agree that my day-to-day practice mindset, showing up, gearing up, getting excited as could be for the game. Yeah, that never changed. But at the end of the game, when, my family or whoever reaches out and say, hey, how'd it go? Well, I snapped all my snaps perfect. They're excited and they think that's great, but that's just such a small part of the game. Right. It doesn't matter if we lost. So when I come back to the gym and everybody's like, oh, we watched you, it was so good. So how did it go? Well, I hit all my snatches. I cleared the ladder, but we lost every single match and got swept. So where's the real success? I mean, I'm still stoked to see my impact score go up and get posted on some of these things and, have some amazing media to post on my social media and the experience of it all. But at the end of the day, it's still wins and losses. I would rather me suck and have to, apologize to the team that, hey, sorry, I held us back, but at least we won, instead of be the one where it's like, well, yeah, I mean, I did a ringer and I did a this and I did a that and I cleared every ladder and, but we didn't win. So that's what matters. It's a team sport.
It's tough. The team sport aspect. And I've talked to Dan Jackson about this. He's a coach for swimming. And I said, it's very similar because swimming is such individual, but it can be team component as well. And like for grid, there are races that it takes the team, but like it also takes individuals doing their specific role. And
I call it the track and field of CrossFit. So, but I know what you mean with swimming.
Yep. Jason, I couldn't agree more with you. Very, very honest answer to that topic of questioning. It is tough to when you don't win, but also you have to gauge what you do that contributes to wins and losses, and you can only do what you can possibly do, which is the best. Hit your lifts, be the fastest at your particular element. But the buy-in, and we've talked about it with other athletes before. There's egos and there's buy-in, and it's that culture that you have within the team that allows you to really like hit these strides. For you guys, you got 2 matches left. You're headed to Dallas on the 12th and the 13th for back-to-back matches. The first thing I'll ask you, Dakota, what is it like playing back-to-back matches? Is it difficult in a sense? I mean, maybe not for you because
all I knew was back-to-back matches.
Right.
Vegas was a back-to-back match.
But what is the training though for others who are used to, we're used to having a few weeks like recovery, but now you've got to turn it around and like chirping. It's all they gotta.
Yeah, I mean, have you never done a CrossFit competition? Have you never played a weekend tournament in whatever sport you grew up in? Have you never trained 2 hard days in a row doing an online qualifier? I mean, whatever.
I couldn't agree more.
There's not a reason that you shouldn't still look at the weekend and plan things out as far as managing your load, your volume, your recovery, your nutrition, all those things. But at the end of the day, if you can't do 2 days back to back, what good are you? You can't do 2 matches back to back if you can't do 2 days back to back, in my opinion. So nothing changes as far as my mindset to it. Now, on the inner workings and the strategy, definitely. I'm going to have, thankfully, a little bit of a lighter match on the first day, and definitely a little bit of a more voluminous match on the second day. And we're happy to be able to do that because we definitely will have a more full roster than previously. And I think that's where you're going to see a lot of separation is if you got 1 or 2 guys, or like if you got a team where 1 guy or 1 girl can do some super high skill things like butterfly ring muscle ups and legless rope climbs, they're going to have a really tough second day. And if they're at 90% instead of 100%, everybody's too good out there. You can't be at 90%.
Yeah. And I think that's where you're going to see some interesting things happen in these last 2 regular season matches, is that you're going to now have this not time management or like minutes restriction that you hear in these other sports, but yeah, like there is a level of amount of reps that someone's doing in day 1 because someone like you is going to have a ton of volume in day 2, and being able to mitigate and allow them to be the best that they can be. If you have the right people, then by all means, that's probably the route to go. But if you don't have the people, you got to have people like you, Dakota, that's like, just put me in there. I'll do both days back to back. Give it to me.
We just had that conversation on our call. I mean, that's a great mindset, but it's not the winning mindset. I equate it the same as if you have 1 less person. Just because I can do it all and I want to do it all doesn't mean I should be doing it all. If I have to do 1 extra race or 2 extra races, again, we're back to the 90% versus 100% rule, where if I have to do that 1 extra echo when I could have had a break, now all of a sudden Jack and Jill is going to be 1% or 10% slower. So it's great to be able to have the mindset of put the team on your back, but it's should be more of a selfless thing where it's like, no, I'll take this one off. We have someone that can be fresh and can get in. Absolutely. Put them in. I'll rest. Yeah. I'll cheer them on. I'll be there.
You don't want your average intensity for 2 days to be 75% when you could hold off on a race or 2 in day 1 and be at 85, 90 or 100% for both.
And that's what's the biggest separator between grid and CrossFit that I talk to people about is in CrossFit, you got to be solid across the board. You have to have a pretty good showing in every workout. You can get 4th in every single workout, every single one, and win the whole event. That's not what it's about. You have to be able to hit home runs in grid, And so if you have to, take one off in order to hit your home run, then that's why you have a roster full of home run hitters.
Yep. So for you guys, you said you're going to have some people that are going to be on the roster that haven't been there in Dallas. You guys have the Brigade on the 12th, and then you have the Bandits on the 13th. What do you guys, I mean, who are you anticipating coming back, and what do you guys got to do when you look at the match formats themselves to turn this thing around and pick up some wins here?
What do you mean by your first question of who's coming back?
Yeah, so the roster, you said you're going to have a deeper roster for this week, this next weekend. Who have we not seen over the past 2 weeks that we're going to see these last 2 weeks?
Yeah, we have 2 girls that are, pretty much, I would say they're on the higher end of the CrossFit ability spectrum. They're going to help a lot in the ladders, making sure we just have some more clear coverage, even if it's 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4s, and a lot in the echo triad spectrum. We got no Nick Andre, Jason, unfortunately. But
what about we had a hashtag a couple weeks ago, Free West Kits.
Where was he trapped?
He just wasn't out there. I don't know.
Unleash West Kits. Is that what you mean by free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, West. I mean, if you guys don't know the name West Kits, then you probably are not too spread out in your your grid knowledge. You probably just only watch grid and not anything called the Olympics. But no, I mean, he's gonna be there.
Hey, that's what I wanted to know. That was the big question that people wanted me to ask. Was,
oh shoot, sorry. Here, go back. I'll drum roll it for you. West Kids showing up to Texas.
He's unleashed. He'll be there. Good. Having him actually, it's huge. And for those people who don't know West Kids, you need to go do some research. But pretty damn good weightlifter. Pretty damn good.
I mean, a lot of people can't deadlift, 500 pounds. The dude can power clean and push jerk 500 pounds. And if that doesn't, it's crazy. The guy's so strong. Him and I don't even know if he remembers, but I spent some time over at Cal Strength with their combine program. That's like my hometown. So I got to go back and help out coaching a little bit of their like semi-pro / pro NFL guys. And that's when he was still up in Danville. And so, I mean, I've seen him lift up close and personal. The dude's a monster. I don't care if he's not if people say he's not at his, peak anymore, it doesn't matter. He could go 90% against anybody out there, and he's taking you down.
I will take him at half of his peak. He's still very good. So, well,
pay attention to that push press ladder, that snatch ladder. I mean, arguably, I think the push press ladder is the hardest ladder of the entire year. You look at like a max thruster at 265, which is basically just a squat plus a push press. And now you have a push press up to 300 this match. That's probably going to be the least cleared ladder of the year. Grid stats, go ahead and quote me on that one. He's going to doink, no problem.
Not a problem. Do you think, thinking about ladders, this week 2 ladder with the sandbag over the yoke, were you a fan of that?
Yeah, I think in execution it ended up just like the CrossFit Games sandbag event, where at first people were like, they're a little down on it. I think it's a little funky, it's a little bit weird, but when you get to watch it, it's so exhilarating. You might have guys like Matt Rattay, who's one of the smallest guys out there, in stature, and he literally sandbag cleans 200 pounds, puts it on his head, and then kind of nudges it over in a event that people were like, oh, there's no way he's going to clear 4. Like, I don't care how strong the guy is. I think guys and girls both on both sides, it was super fun. Someone who didn't really have an issue with the weight or the height, maybe honestly, I didn't have as much fun as some of the other people that were able to surprise themselves and get a big quadrant 4 victory there. But
Yeah.
it was a good time.
Yeah. But are you glad that we're back to barbells?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think if you look at this year's how the matches got divvied up, right? There's more than 4 general blueprints or outlines. If you look at the match formats this year, I think there was a little bit of a miss on the Olympic barbell cycling, like super heavy, 1 rep or 2 rep at a time. You have 2 of the mirrors that are front squat and back squat and shoulder to overhead, which honestly, as a guy out there, I'm just going to push press 10 times. So arguably, 3 out of the 4 mirrors are not Olympic weightlifting. And then if you look at the ladder, now you have, I like thruster. I think that's a good combo. You get the squat clean and the, so you get a little bit more of the ability to move the weight instead of the weight, kind of move you. But you take sandbag and you take push press as the other 2. Now 2 out of the 4 are not. So, you have 5 out of the 8 arguably that are not Olympic weightlifting, and not that there has to be. That's not a rule for mirror or ladder, but at least when I watch it, when I think about practicing it, I think of those movements being able to be utilized a little bit more in those 2 components. So
right,
I'm a little back and forth on that.
It'll be fun either way. Dallas is got a lot of stakes. Obviously you're 0-2. You have a chance to get yourself back in it. 2 wins. You don't know what it'll do for you. You just need to know that it gets you an opportunity, gives you a chance to do something. So obviously you guys got some, motivation there to go out and take care of business. You got some people that you haven't had over the past 2 weeks coming. They're going to be ready. It's going to be a stronger team, a deeper team. You got a brigade team on the first day, and then a bandits team on the second day. Both, are teams that are good in and of it themselves in their own rights at different things. And it's definitely, you got to be ready. You got to be prepared. And it sounds like you guys are going to be there. But Dakota, man, I appreciate you stopping by, spending some time. I know you're a busy dude. I'll let you run, but before you do anything,
I was saying I got till 9:30. Whatever.
Look at that, 9:30. Well, let's
chat. I should probably be out there by 9:20. So I got at least a solid 10 minutes if you got anything else on there. Otherwise, if you have a timeline you'd like to stick to, either one.
So the big question is all right. With coaching and with, CrossFit and grid, do you CrossFit to get better at grid? But if someone came to you and was like, hey, I want to do grid, would you tell them to do CrossFit as their coach? Or would you go, well, no, let's create a grid specific program for you?
Well, right now there's not much in the sphere for grid-specific programming, as far as I know. I mean, if you're a strength specialist, you should follow a barbell program. Follow a Catalyst or a Cal Strength or a whatever has even Proven has a specific, or Underdogs, right? We have a gymnastics focused program. So if you really want to build yourself into a pigeonhole of only being able to focus on one of those things, then don't do a well-rounded CrossFit program where you're doing monostructural this and skill building that when you just need to be good at slinging barbells. But keep in mind, there's a utility component of grid also. So I would say that if you can boost your general CrossFit skills in terms of the higher part of the pyramid, right? Like gymnastics and Olympic weightlifting, then you have a better chance of landing. I think if someone wants to be on grid, it's easier to be a utility player than it is to be a hyper specialist. Look at any bodyweight specialist out there. You can just tell who's a gymnast when they kick up into a handstand versus guys that are very fit and figured it out. But if you want to be that one gymnast or that one bodyweight specialist, go back in time, be a gymnast at 6 years old. Start eating your Wheaties and really bulk up and start moving mass on the barbell. So no, I wouldn't say the right answer is necessarily just get better at CrossFit. It's what you want first. Do you want to be a specialist or do you want to be a utility?
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the league as a whole? It's expanding. You know, when you look at now they're adding a team from New York. You would have to say like the league is in a good spot, right?
Yeah, I think it is definitely in a good, they call it like that wave or that upswing, right? If you're talking about just having the best timing to get involved with something, more expansion in terms of media, right? Like in the finals last year, you had, Spin or some of these other, YouTube podcasters or whatever you want to call them, covering them. You got guys like you that are getting the name out there to a much broader reach of people. It's physically expanding out of Florida. It's no longer the Florida Grid League. Now it's the United Grid League. And soon enough, we can actually have like a East versus West where it's actually down the center of the United States instead of down the sliver of Florida where it's the East Florida plus a couple teams in the West. Yeah.
What would you say is the next, like if you could control where the growth happens next, what's the next thing you think Grid has to do?
I think they need to find a hub in California and really lock in a relationship there. I think that I was watching Fikowski's thing the other day. I don't know if you caught it. He was talking about professionalism in the sport of CrossFit, where there's money and then there's kind of the behavior. And I think Grid has so much of the behavior. The media is so good. The coverage is amazing. Anyone that has talked to that watches it, they do these explanations of the event that's going to happen, with diagrams and explanation, and then you see it and it makes sense. The commentary, the live action commentary with like Taylor and Cassie and whoever else is joining them is very top notch. They're not just giving you boring information or explaining the workout as you already know it. We don't need to hear them count the reps. They're actually talking about the value or some of the drama maybe that people don't get to know about as they're watching it from home. So those things are so locked in. Having a schedule, having a handbook that, even though that changes occasionally too, there's so many things that I think people will appreciate in the professionalism. But when there's not enough money, there's nothing to hold you accountable. There's contracts. Yeah, there's signing windows. You're not supposed to talk to teams during certain time, or else what? I mean,
good question. I don't know.
To be fair, right? Or else what? Hey, don't do that. I know that there's ownerships meetings that happen every week, and they talk in circles, not like in a bad way, but they roundtable when there's issues, and they make decisions based on the league and what's best for them, and in terms of growth. But if you're an athlete and you sign a contract but you don't show up, I mean, what happens if an NFL guy doesn't show up? You don't show up to practice, you get fined or you get suspended. Right. If you get suspended from a Grid match, you're like, all right, fine, I guess I'm not going to spend $500 this weekend to go travel. So until there can be like I like to use the Live Tour instead of the WFP, but golf has never been dull. Like from my perspective, go look at any weekend, guys are winning millions just at the random, Spyglass or the this or the that, Wells Fargo, any tournament. It takes an entire year of travel and work to win like 20 grand for Grid. It's just, there's not much external, right? There's a lot of intrinsic value to it. There's not any external value to succeeding in Grid at the moment, So
soon to change. Open it
up.
No.
I'm not saying that to. I think everybody is. If you don't know, then it's important to understand those things, and if you do know, then you're right there. Like, yeah, I wish sponsorships were easier to acquire. I wish that the value in it was a little bit greater. I think you'd have a lot more people, like Wes and Danielle Brandon and some of these other kind of high-end CrossFitters. Kelsey Keel, obviously, she's full-time signed, but you'd have a lot more Kels Keels if there was a little bit more at stake.
Right.
And I think, you partner with a hub in San Diego or LA or Santa Cruz, OG California area that's got a ton of CrossFitters and a ton of other athletics going on. You can expand the league greatly, and all of a sudden you're getting a full East versus West. Maybe you get one or two people that kind of look at it a little different and throw some money at it, and it could be a serious threat.
Yeah, you expand the foothold out, nationwide, coast to coast, and you open up eyes, really, and eyes on the product allows for opportunity. And so I think, when you look at how youthful this league actually is, I think there's a ton of area to grow. And I think it's a slow growth, but it has to be. Like, you can't be, because I think what people don't know is this sport was what it was, the MPGL at one point, and too much too fast led to the demise of that. And so now you trying to get back to that in some form of fashion, it just takes some very intentional moves and steps.
It's
and
weight loss and weight gain. You got to do it nice and easy so it can be sustainable. Try and do all at once, it's going to fall out from under you. But I think the Grid also does a great job with their partnership exposure. Like, we do all of our matches at a Mr. Olympia. We find these conventions that already has a lot of foot traffic, and it's like one of those ones where either people can go a little bit more convenient or easier to go watch because it's at this big area, or they're already there and happen to get exposed to it. And either way, that's a good way to kind of broaden the reach. I like this idea that Jason has. I think that would be sick. Having like an event to win prize purse.
Yep.
And you can even start to do things like an individual, right? You win a ringer. I mean, shoot, even if it's $100, that's, $400 for the league or whoever's sponsoring it per match. People would be even more excited. I actually saw PR Wraps. They did something like that. They're one of the league-wide sponsors. If you did a ringer and you won wearing their bracelets, they kicked you $100. Like, that's something that you should be able to get sponsors. I feel like that would be, it's like your show, right? This episode is sponsored by. Oh, I was going to ask you about Chinook, by the way. This episode is sponsored by this brand. This ringer is brought to you by RX Smart Gear or PR Wraps or whatever. And if it's triple unders, you got $100 Visa card from RX Smart Gear. Chinook. That's sunflower seeds. Sorry to sidebar.
Seed. Yeah. Okay. No, you're good. So it's good. This podcast started. The In Off the Bench podcast network was just the In Off the Bench podcast, and that started during COVID, and it turned into a college baseball show. And our first sponsor was Chinook Seeds, and they were startup, up and coming. And they've been our sponsor ever since, and they've been great to us. So we've been able to do a lot of things and go to Omaha, cover the College World Series, go to a lot of SEC games and cover those things. So they've been, foundational to what we've been able to do as a podcast. And this Grit and Grind show is just we've taken that podcast, made it a network, and now we have a college baseball show, pro baseball show, college gymnastics show, and a Grid League show. Like all very on cool. It. So, and
my sister's dog is named Chinook, but after the salmon. So I don't know if there's like a dual, I don't know if Chinook means anything, or maybe if it means the same to them.
Yeah.
I saw that on when I was just kind of in the waiting room. I was like, "Oh, Chinook, what's that?" And then you started talking about it.
That's our sunflower seeds. 8 flavors, mild to wild. Local gas station.
Bring some to Texas.
Hey. It'll be easy. They're based out of Austin, so Dallas is a huge for them. So
cool.
But if you like sunflower seeds, I got you covered, man.
Sweet.
I'll hook you. But all right, man. Let's wrap this thing up. Let's put a bow on it. Anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
Oh God. If you're in the Las Vegas area, come check me out. Camp Rhino, largest gym in all of the Valley. We're right by the airport, right by the Strip. We've had plenty of CrossFit Games and now grid athletes training out of our box. We would love to have any visitors come swing by, and then we'll see you in Texas.
That's right, baby. Dakota, man, I appreciate it. Best of luck over the next couple matches. I'll be there. I'll see you. So we'll get a chance to chat a little bit. But for everybody else that wants to know how they can follow Dakota, go to Instagram. He's got it. I got it on the bottom at DakShack818. Head over to Dallas Mesquite Convention Center, July 12th and 13th. They'll be taking on the Brigade on the 12th and then the Bandits on the 13th. If you can't make it there, go to YouTube, United Grid League. Live streams will be there on those days. You can check them out both days. Dakota, man, I appreciate you, and I'll see you in Dallas, brother.
Thank you. See you in Texas.
All right. That is Dakota Shackleton, everybody. If you like hearing Dakota's story, or you just like hearing Average Joe's talk X's and O's, please like, share the podcast on Facebook. Head over to YouTube, click like, subscribe, notifications. That way you're first to know when new content is dropped. And we have a good one coming up on Wednesday. Lexi Wolfort, the now coach of the newest United Grid League team, the New York Wolves. She'll be on here. We're going to talk to her about her story. She was a player with the Gainesville Wild, player with the Atlanta Wild. Now she's the owner, or now she's the coach of the New York Wolves. So I'm ready to see how this player into owner or a coaching role has adapted for her and what's on her list of to-dos, because I'm sure it's a hefty list. But looking forward to getting her story and seeing her on Wednesday. We'll see everybody else Wednesday. Y'all be good. If you can't be good, be safe. And as always, remember, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We're out.